Damn. Well, hello, friends. Mark Holmes here. And as always, I want to thank you guys and you ladies for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. First thing, let me say to all my friends that are in Texas and Oklahoma and Louisiana and everything, I know you guys are not used to this weather. They don't have the equipment. The infrastructure's not ready for it. One thing I can give you as a tip: if your power is off, okay, if you got copper pipes in your house, they will freeze up. If you got temperatures that are in the teens and wind chill and the power's off, take your pipes, and even if you still have some heat, what may happen is if your pipes are on an outside wall, they will freeze. So what you want to do is you want to let those suckers drip, because as long as there's water circulating in there, it'll help keep them from freezing and busting, because you do not want to have frozen pipes. And I pray, it's spelled Collis, Colas, said his power's been off for 35 hours, and that was when he sent me this email a long time ago. Man, I feel for you guys. I've been in the cold without power. It is rough, especially if you're not prepared. So I know there's another storm coming tonight. We're going to be getting your storm, I believe, on Thursday. They're calling for 5 to 8 inches of snow and ice for us as well. So I'm praying for you. I am definitely praying for you. And let me see if I can slide back here. Last night, I had one of our fans there pose a question, and I can't remember who it was. I can go over and look. Hang on, I'll find out. Kevin Edwards, he posed a question. He said, how about we compare the Dallas Cowboys defense under Tom Landry and under Jimmy Johnson to our defense now? And I started doing some research. It's been a busy day, so I haven't been able to get out as many videos as I usually do. I'm sorry if that, if you're missing them. I'm happy for you if you're glad you didn't get so many notifications. So there's that. So I've been down here after cooking tacos for Taco Tuesday and doing some research and stuff. And before I got to this, what reminded me of this was something that was kind of interesting. This almost blows my mind. This was a tweet, and I retweeted it and commented on it. Tom Brady, we think of him as the GOAT, and as he should. The guy's got more rings than anybody else. But it's funny because when you watch the Super Bowl this year, you saw a team that ran the ball 145 yards. You saw a defense that shut down Pat Mahomes and that offense and got 3 takeaways. Tom Brady was a big part of that, but he wasn't the only part of it. And when I saw this stat, it literally blew my mind. In 344 starts, that's the total amount of games that Tom Brady has had. Would you believe that in 62 of them, the other team scored 10 or less points? 10 or less points. That is almost 1/5 of the games he played. The opposition, their defense smothered the opposition. When you only have to score 11 points, it makes your job a lot easier. But again, I'm not trying to take away anything from Tom Brady. So let's think about our defense right now. The question posed to me, how would the players that we have currently stack up with some of our teams in the past? Because we think about Roger Staubach, Hall of Famer. We think about Drew Pearson. Shout out to you, Drew Pearson, another Hall of Fame player. We think about, of course, Tony Dorsett. We think about all of these great players that the Dallas Cowboys had on offense. But a lot of you forget about that defense. And I was going back through, because I got to jar my brain. I mean, I was only, in 77, I was only 12 years old. But let me just go over. This is the hard part, too, because there was a lot of things they didn't keep stats for back in the day. Tackles and sacks. They weren't an official stat. So it's hard to compare apples to oranges from that. But I will go through with this. I want you to think about, let me just go through the names. And a lot of you probably like, who? Because you're too young. But look it up. You had Ed Too Tall Jones at one end, left defensive end. You had Jet Ropew, and Jet Ropew had 14 fumble recoveries in his career. Like I said, I can't tell you how many sacks and tackles, but there was a lot, okay? 13-year career, 12-year career. Randy White, Hall of Famer, okay? The Manster, known as half man, half monster at your right defensive tackle. Harvey Martin at right defensive end. Again, another absolute positive beast. We had Hollywood Henderson at linebacker, along with Bob Brunick, D.D. Lewis. Cornerbacks, we had Benny Barnes. Benny Barnes had 11 interceptions in his career. We had Aaron Kyle, okay, as another one of our cornerbacks, 14 interceptions. And we had Charlie Waters. Do I have to say anything about Charlie Waters? At safety, strong safety, okay. Charlie Waters, I believe, had 14 interceptions. No, it's more than that. And we had, going into the Hall of Fame this year, Cliff Harris. Actually, it was last year, but it'll be going in this year. That was the defense. And as I look at this defense, there's not a single player currently on the Dallas Cowboys roster that I say should start over any of these guys. Not one. Convince me otherwise. You might say, well, you know, D-Law is pretty good. D-Law, I ain't taking out Ed Too Tall Jones or Harvey Martin for D-Law. Just not. Linebacker-wise, sorry. They ain't holding a candle to those guys. Cornerbacks, no way. I don't think a single one of them. I think D-Law could be a backup. D-Law on the 77 Dallas Cowboys defense would probably be a backup, and that would be about the only one that we would look at and say, yeah, he could have been part of that. Let's go to the 90s. That defense, I want to give you the numbers because this will blow your mind away. Left defensive end, Tony Tolbert, 531 solo tackles, 59 sacks, 7 forced fumbles. Tony Casillas, left defensive tackle, 724 tackles. Let me say that again. 724 tackles, 23 sacks, 10 forced fumbles. Russell Maryland, 374 tackles, 24 and a half sacks, 9 forced fumbles. Charles Haley, Hall of Famer, 489 solo tackles, 100.5 sacks, 26 forced fumbles. Vincent Smith, 389 tackles, 8 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. Robert Jones, 609 tackles, 8 sacks, 1 forced fumble. Ken Norton Jr., his daddy was one hell of a fighter. He was a pretty good fighter on the field as well. 1,128 solo tackles, 12 and a half sacks, 12 forced fumbles. Isaac Holt, 23 interceptions, 2 TDs. Larry Brown, 14 interceptions, 2 TDs. Thomas Everett, 21 interceptions. And James Washington, 17 interceptions. Again, that defense was number one in the NFL. We think about the triplets. We think about Troy Aikman. You know, oh my God, Troy Aikman, he was incredible. But you know, in Troy Aikman's career, he only had one season that he threw for more than 20 touchdowns. And one Super Bowl year, I think he threw 13 TDs and 12 interceptions. Why? When you have a defense with guys that can get after the quarterback and cause takeaways, keeps the other team from scoring a lot of points, just like Tom Brady. Tom Brady, 62 times, 11 points wins the game. To put that in perspective, that number right there, by the way, here's what's crazy. To get to 60 times for a couple of other quarterbacks, listen to me here. To get to 60 times that these quarterbacks combined got to 60 games where the opposition scored less than 10 points. You have to take Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Kirk frickin' Cousins, Matthew Stafford, Matt Ryan, Andy Dalton, and Jameis Winston. If you combined those 7 quarterbacks, and instead of 344 games, it took 1,026 games to get to that same amount. And see, there is perception and there's reality. People think, oh my God, Tom Brady, Tom Brady just wins by himself. It's not the case. I don't know that Roger Staubach has 2 Super Bowl rings if you put the Dallas Cowboys' current defense on the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know that the 90s Dallas Cowboys wins a single Super Bowl with this defense that we have currently. And this is always seemed to be lost, where you hear bullshit from a lot of the talking heads out there. Oh, Dak Prescott. It was the same thing with Tony Romo. Dak Prescott, they lost. He's a loser. He's not a quality quarterback. They were 8-8 last year. 8-8, but you know what? You put a defense with Tony Casillas, Russell Merrill, Charles Haley, Vincent Smith, Robert Jones, Ken Norton Jr., Isaac Holt, Larry Brown, Thomas Everett, and James Washington with Dak in that offense, I guarantee they're going to the Super Bowl. So as far as I'm concerned, here's the thing. I probably won't make any friends. And probably if I go to an autograph signing, I'll get a middle finger. But right now, the current Dallas Cowboys defense is a disgrace to what these guys used to do. I know you get the star in your head, but see, these guys are the ones that made that star mean something. It's your job to carry on the legacy. And brother, y'all are failing right now. All right, y'all, I got some more research to do for a couple other things. And I appreciate y'all being here. Please, my thoughts and prayers to everybody there with this storm. Be safe, and stay warm. I'll see you soon.